Hey everybody, how you doing? This is about to be a really fun video. In this video, we're comparing two very common hunting cartridges, and that is these two right here, the 308 Winchester and the 270 Winchester. Now, right off the bat, 270, hey, that's a long action. 308, hey, that's a short action. It's a lot shorter. Hey, you might right off the bat say, well, 270 wins. It's bigger and it's better. Well, hey, I make videos a lot of times based on what people are searching on the internet. And apparently on YouTube, a lot of people type in 270 versus 308. So let's dive in quick and nerd out a little bit about 308 and 270. And we'll just see what's better ballistically speaking, coming at it from a couple different angles. You guys asked to see it. I'm making a quick video on it. But I've taken deer with both 308 and 270, and they both went down within eyesight with a hard shot. So if you're in the woods hunting inside of 100 yards, does it really matter between these two? Probably not. But let's jump in and talk about some numbers real quick. I grabbed 5 of each factory loadings off the shelf here, and here's what we're going to be looking at. So if one of these is one that you hunt with, or one that you hunt with is close to one of these, then follow along. But we got a stack of 5 308s and a stack of 5 270s. I tried to grab different things, different BCs, different boot weights, different speeds, so we can compare what's better, when and where. And I did a bunch of math and put all this in some pretty colorful charts to make it easy to understand. But real quick, just show you up close what we're talking about. 150 grain core-lokt 308, super common. Normal whitetail, 150 grain as well. It's a soft point like the core-lokt. This came out, I don't know, 2 years ago. Hornady, American whitetail, interlock, 150 grain. 350 grains, pretty popular for 308. But then I also got a 165 grain. That's a middleweight for the 30 cal. Then I also found some 180 grain 308. That definitely changes the equation when you jump from 150s to 180s as far as the ballistics and the energy at given distances, so on and so forth. What did I grab for the 270s? For 270, the sweet spot for the longest time has been 130 grain. Let's look at what we got here. Here's a Remington core-lokt 130 grain 270. Then we got a 150 grain Winchester PowerPoint. Shout out to Dale. Dale sent me in that 270 stuff, and I still use it. Another interlock, which is 140 grain. That's a soft point Hornady. Then we got the 130 grain core-lokt tipped 270. And then we got the 130 grain Swift Sirocco from Remington. Premier Sirocco bonded. That's the good stuff. But let's look at the charts here real quick. Let me make sure I actually hit record this whole time. I've been rambling. Yep, it's recording. So let me pull this up. So green means good, red means bad. It doesn't necessarily mean bad, but it means not as good as things could have been. Hold on, let me check we got something wrong in my chart here. Hold on, be right back. Let me fix some numbers. All right, the numbers look correct now. The charts all follow a logical curve in my mind here. So now, like I said, what I've done is I've charted all these, and we're going to look at 2 key features of all these, and that is the boot drop. Everything all the same, sighted in at 100. How fast do all of these drop is going to be our first chart, because that matters. And then how much energy do these all have at the muzzle, and then at 100 yards, 200 yards, all the way out to 1,000. And we're just going to sit here and chat and talk about the numbers for a second. So if you're hunting within 100 yards, does it matter if you have a 270 or a 308? Probably not. Shot placement is key. They both take a deer, okay? 308, 270, meh. There's not really too much argument inside 100 yards. You get the deer in the heart, the lungs, you're going to get the deer. But that being said, it's fun to look at the numbers sometimes. I'm going to preface this and give you the short story. 270 smokes 308. I honestly don't know why so many people are typing into the internet, looking up to compare 270 versus 308. 270 versus 30-06, that's a little bit better of a comparison. I've got a lot of videos on that if you want to check those out. Also, 270 versus 6.5 Creedmoor. That's a pretty good comparison, pretty interesting. 270 smokes the 6.5 Creedmoor, by the way. You should go check out my videos on that. But today, y'all asked to see 270 versus 308, and that's what we're going to sit here and nerd out and talk about for just a little bit. You guys can freeze this if you want to. Go back and look at the data, screenshot it, whatever you want to do. But let's look at the data. So, first chart here, pop it up. 270 versus 308, drop in inches. So the first 5 lines is 270. The bottom 5 lines is 308. What will you notice? I said green is good. Well, the top 5 lines have the brightest green tint, and that means all 5. Let me verify this before I make an absolute. So 4 of the 5 270s drop less than the 308s. Let's just go down it real quick. So you're hunting at 300 yards. The first 4 270s drop between 10 and 11 inches. And then you go down to the 308s. The average there is dropping 15 inches or so. So at 300 yards, 270 on average is dropping 11 inches, where a 308 is dropping 15 inches. Let's go on out to 500. Average of the 270s right around 45, 46 inches of drop, so 4 feet of drop at 500 yards for a 270. Then at 500 yards, how much is a 308 dropping? Well, you can see in the numbers there in the yellow and the red, 308 is dropping roughly 60 inches or 5 feet at 500 yards. So at 500 yards, a 308 is dropping a foot more than a 270, which that's definitely the difference between you getting that deer or not. Does it really matter if you're dialing? I definitely don't recommend you holding over. You know, are you holding over 4 feet or 5 feet on that deer? Never do that. That's a terrible decision. But if you're dialing, does that really make a difference to 12 inches? Probably not. But all that being said, you guys can freeze this. I got the data on out to 1,000 yards, the drop in inches. 270, pretty much across the board, has less drop than a 308. You can see there I've got the ballistic coefficients for all those different rounds: Remington, Hornady, Winchester, Norma. And then I've got the muzzle velocities. Now, we talked about drop. 270 drops less. Let's talk about energy. So, muzzle energy at the muzzle for the 308s is greater on several loadings. So 150 grain interlock, 2840, that's the most energy at the muzzle. Pretty negligible comparison. Energy at the muzzle, the 308 wins. Now let's go to 100 yards, where the green colors start to pop back up at the 270s. And then let's go to 200, 300, 400. The green is up in the 270s. So once you get to really 200 yards across the board, a 270 is carrying out energy further. Let's just pause quick and look at 500 yards. How much energy do these things have at varying distances? You can see the bright green colors, the good, is all in the 270 with the exception of one. So in the 308, from an energy perspective, that 165 grain seems to be a sweet spot and actually beats out 2 of the 270 rounds. When we're talking about energy, that 165 still drops faster than the 270s, but it carries energy out further. Notice it's got a pretty good BC, that 165 Remington, of a .447. So It's a lot of numbers to look at, but I color coded it so we wouldn't have to think too hard. 270 carries out more energy further, even with a lighter yet faster boot-lot. So I'm not going to ramble on too much about it. You can see here the highest BC, strangely enough, is that Hornady interlock. I really don't believe it, but that's what Hornady put on the website, so I've got to believe it. That high BC of the 140 grain 270 carries the most energy up to 1,000 yards, 578 foot-pounds of energy. And yeah, 270. If we're speaking in terms of less drop and more energy, a 270 pretty much across the board smokes a 308. Now, does that mean 308 is no good? No. I've got videos taking 308 to 1,000 yards pretty easily. And I've got videos taking deer with 308 pretty easily. Does the job. But why use a 308 when you can use a 270? Now, one thing I don't talk about a lot is recoil, because potato 338 Win Mag, you know, all the heavy ones, to me, recoil is relative. So recoil doesn't bother me. We can pick up the biggest boot-lot slingers. I'm a big dude. Doesn't bother me. But if you weigh 110 pounds, a 270 might feel like it kicks a lot to you. So there is that consideration. Does a 270 kick that much more than a 308? Not really, but I don't talk about that much. But I understand recoil is a thing. But that being said, no more rambling. Appreciate y'all watching. 270 drops less and has more energy than the 308. And now we have our answers. Like I said, you can freeze those, take a look at them, study them a little bit longer if you want to. But appreciate y'all watching. If you're making me pick, I'm picking a 270. Then there might be those guys, oh, 308, that's a military round and that's going to be cheaper ammo. Not really anymore. If you're talking about picking up boxes for catching deer, stuff like this, the cost savings is not really there. You might as well get you a 270. But hey, comment down below which one you like better and why. I always love to hear your stories, especially the hunting stories. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you on the next one.
Load it up and get it on as soon as you can. 30-06, 10 mil, 50 cal. It don't make a difference, man. We like to shoot